Greetings everyone, welcome to video number 48 in the project management series presented by Process Geekoid. Today's agenda will be going over reviewing the PMBOK process table as well as the 44th process of identify stakeholders. As always, please subscribe, like, and comment. So let's move forward. After the project charter has been approved, other important stakeholders must be identified because the project is reliant upon the buy-in from all stakeholders, specifically the sponsor who is funding your project. So we are at the point where we have already got the charter signed off in the first process of develop project charter. Now we are at the stakeholder knowledge area and in the initiation process group. So in this process, we are going to take in the project charter, which comes in along with EEFs and OPAs, to give us a stakeholder register and analyze the stakeholder importance using the salience model, which focuses on power, urgency, and legitimacy. Also, we'll be looking at the power interest grid, power influence grid, and influence impact grid as part of stakeholder analysis. The 44th process of identify stakeholders is the process of identifying people, groups, or organizations that could impact or be impacted by a decision, activity, or project outcome, and analyzing, documenting relevant information regarding their interests, involvement, interdependencies, influence, and impact on project success. Keep in mind that stakeholders come in various forms. As a project manager and even your own team members are stakeholders because they're actively involved in the project. So now we'll be going over the ITTOs for identify stakeholders. And it is the process of identifying people, groups, or organizations that could be impacted or could impact the project. So keep in mind that those are the two different pieces of stakeholders or types of stakeholders. They could impact or be impacted. And essentially for inputs, we have project charter, which is coming from the earlier process in integration. The first process of develop project charter, which must be signed off before moving forward. Then we have procurement documents, and procurement documents are, for example, RFP, request for proposal, RFI, request for information, and RFQ, request for quotation or pricing. We need these documents here as inputs because we need to involve third-party individuals from the vendor side for the project and recognize them as stakeholders, as well as since contracts will be signed by them in the perform procurement process. We need them to sign the contract, otherwise we cannot get the components needed for the project. Next we have EEFs and OPAs. As always, EEFs are things outside of your control as a project team and project manager, and these include organizational culture and structure, governmental or industry standards such as regulations and product standards, and then you have also global, regional, and local trends and practices and habits which you must adhere to and try to adapt to make sure that your project is a success. Other inputs include your OPAs, organizational process assets, and these include stakeholder register templates, lessons learned from previous projects or phases, and stakeholder registers from previous projects which could be recycled in this process. For tools and techniques, we'll be having stakeholder analysis, which will deep dive into next type regarding the types of power interest grids and influence impact grids and power impact grids. Then we have expert judgment, which comes in the form of senior management, other units within the organization, identified key stakeholders, project managers who have worked on projects in the same area, and subject matter experts in the business or project area, industry groups and consultants, and professional and technical associations such as PMI to assist in analyzing and identifying stakeholders. The output then is going to be your stakeholders. register, and that basically consists of your stakeholder register, which includes identification information, assessment information, and stakeholder classification. And the identification information has the name, organizational role, location, and contact info. Then you have assessment information such as major requirements, expectations, and influence on the project. And then you have stakeholder classification such as internal, external, supporter, neutral, or resistor type. So by doing this, the key benefit of identify stakeholders is that it allows the project manager to identify the appropriate focus for each stakeholder or group of stakeholders. So to deep dive into to analyze the stakeholders, we'll have different tools or models. So in all of these, you see that we have keep satisfied, manage closely, monitor, and keep informed as your various categories. But keep in mind that you also have the salience model, which is focused on power, which is where the stakeholder is imposing their will on the project, urgency, which is dealing with immediate attention, and also appropriate involvement. Then in the power interest grid, power influence grid, and influence impact grid, basically if you have high interest and high power, you want to keep them informed. If you have high interest and high power, you want to manage them closely because they make your choices for you, such as a sponsor. If you have low interest and high power, you try to keep them satisfied by giving them what they want when they want it. And then of course, low interest and low power, you just monitor their involvement. This same pattern will follow for the other types of grids such as influence and impact. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, like, and comment.